All right, it's 5 o'clock, so we'll call the city council meeting of October 5th to order. The first thing we have to do is the adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt.
Mayor, if I could,
What?
I'd like to add 2 agenda items.
Okay.
So to the Halloween discussion, if we could have the safety first on Halloween proclamation. It's in your packages that you have in front of you. And then I'd like to add a new item that would accept the North Carolina Tourism Promotion Recovery Grant.
North Carolina Tourism Recovery Grant.
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else? All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise. The agenda passes, and we'll start with the Old Business CARES Act.
All right, sir, so I'll give the presentation. Can you pull that up for me, please? Octavius is unable to be here, but I believe he's online. Are you online, Octavius?
I am online, thank you.
Okay, so I'll do the presentation. You can answer questions if I can't. Thank you. This is also in your packages, council members. Next slide. All right, so updates from last time we spoke about this. The public economic support is the small business grant for $100,000, and then you asked the staff to see if we could redistribute the funds for $200,000 to include more nonprofits. So I'll give you the update on that at this time. Next slide. So we've extended the application period for 2 weeks until 16 October for the small business owners to make sure they have an opportunity to apply. The staff estimates approximately 30 grants will be given on a randomized lottery system. We're looking at $2,500 to employers with 2 to 8 employees and $5,000 to employers with 9 to 15 employees. Grants can fund expenses for rent, payroll, and COVID-19 related material. And up to $1,500 in business support services will be available through the Small Business Center of Wayne Community College. Any questions on how we plan to distribute this? Okay, grants for nonprofits. This can be provided for expenses, food, rent, and utilities related for citizens. It can also support supplies, case management, and facility accommodations for virtual learning and social distancing. You'll see here the way the staff recommends redistributing the $200,000. Wages would get $40,000, Salvation Army $40,000. Wayne County YMCA is a new grantee for $25,000. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Wayne County $15,000. 3 is One Family Center $15,000. A Lot of Direction, Love and Affection $15,000. Rebuilding Broken Places is an ad for $12,500. 4-Day Movement $12,500. Wayne Uplift Resource Center $12,500. And Society of St. Vincent de Paul St. Mary is for $12,500 in a new ad. If council concurs with these reapportionments, staff will distribute the funds accordingly once we receive the required paperwork from the grantees. Are there any questions or modifications?
Questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What are we asking, if any, these nonprofits to provide us in terms of how they plan to spend the money?
Octavius, you want to answer that one?
Yes, if I understand, is that Councilmember Ham?
Yes.
There will be an application process, not for eligibility, but just for background information so that when these monies are distributed, we'll have the same basic information pertaining to all nonprofit organizations.
And what would that be? What are you looking for them to submit to you, Octavius?
We're looking for their organized name. We're looking for their 501(c)(3) status, C3 status. We're looking for some financials. We're looking for how they're organized from a tax standpoint. We're looking for at least 1 or 2 years of their 990s. Each nonprofit is required to submit a 990 each year. We're going to look at 2 of those. Because it's under the 50,000 or 500,000 threshold, a single audit will not be required. So yeah, that's some of the fundamental information that we are planning. It's still a work in progress. Some details have not been hashed out.
So as I understand it, basically we're asking for them to verify who they are, but we're not asking them to tell us how they plan to spend the money. Is that correct?
Well, before we will give them the money, we will ask for a receipt of how they've spent the money. So this can go all the way back to March. So whether they spent it on payroll, whether they spend it on giving food to somebody, they just submit us the bill and how they've spent it, and as long as it meets the requirements, we can support that. Is that correct, Dr.
And Tim, that is correct. And to couple with that statement, it's important to know that the monies will be distributed on a reimbursement basis. We've decided as a staff to ask that the monies be reimbursed versus distributed upfront via check.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, everybody good with that?
Mayor? Can you hear me, Mayor?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We'll need a motion for the city staff to amend the application to the NC Pro office.
You need a motion to reapprove the application to the NC Pro office?
Yes, for
Yes, sir.
for nonprofit distribution, we'll,
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Okay. All right.
thank you, Mayor, Council.
All right, so is there anything else on the CARES Act?
No, sir.
Oh, real quick, I have one question, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm sorry. Can we go back to the public economic support really quick? And when it says that we have 2,500 to employers with 2 to 8 employees, let's consider those barbershops or salons who are, you know, one person owned. Is this a state requirement or is this a stipulation that we put on it?
Yeah, there's a requirement that the funding can't go to the owner of the business, I believe. That's why we put down
Okay.
for 2 to 8. Is that correct, Octavius?
Well, actually, we do have the flexibility, but yeah, that is correct. We do have the flexibility to, from a guideline standpoint, to put in place different guidelines. But because an independent owner cannot be eligible for payroll expenses, it has to have more than 1 employee. So that's how we guarantee that these funds will be eligible, starting at 2, going to 15. So yes, Tim, you're right.
Thank you.
That it? All right, so we'll move on to Race Relations Commission discussion.
So, Mr. Mayor, where does council want to move in this direction? Do you want to, the Community Relations and Development Commission certainly is in this sphere of influence. You could ask them to do whatever you want them to look at. They could have develop a subcommittee, or you can develop an additional committee. I would recommend that at least on the Committee for Community Relations and Development that we add a council member or 2 to that. That's one of the only boards we don't have a council member on, so you could do that. Or again, develop a separate board.
Well, I'll just say my opinion, and y'all can do y'all's too. I just think that this is a pretty big deal, or a pretty big board that we need to get and fix it right. And I'm not sure that putting it in community relations is going to push it like it probably needs to be pushed. I'm not saying it won't, but I'm just saying that I think we need pretty heavy council influence and pretty heavy community leader influence. whoever that turns out to be.
I agree with that, Mayor, but personally, I don't think that this should be a city-ran board, personally. I think it should be city-supported, no doubt. But if we run that board, we ultimately have the decision of appointing who sits on that board, and then it has so many stipulations and guidelines, and we can only have a certain amount of members, and I just don't think we should cap it. So I think that we should, again, support it, and that way all of us can participate in the board. We can encourage our employees to participate in that board, but I just personally don't think it should be city-ran. I don't think it should be a board and commission from the city.
You don't think it should be city-run at all, is that what you're saying?
I think it should be city-supported, which means because if we run it, then it falls under our ordinance and policies of boards and commissions, and to me, that's too limiting for the conversation.
So who do you think needs to run it?
I mean, I think it should be a community-driven initiative. Did we reach out to the person that brought it to us to begin with? I would love to hear their vision on it and what they think moving forward. Did we reach out to them at all? No?
Staff have not,
Yeah,
so.
that'll be a great start, I think.
Since our last meeting, when they were speaking of it, actually during the meeting, I don't know if you guys remember Trevor Jackson, who served with the police department. He, as well as other people in my district, I think Councilman Aycock made a recommendation of 2 people per district on top of what Councilmember Matthews was saying, expanding it countywide. But I've had multiple people say that they wanted to serve on that board. So I don't, was that how you worded it, Councilman Aycock?
I said 2 or 3.
2 or 3 per our district
But
people.
even that, I didn't want to, set in stone because,
Right.
I'll be honest with you, it may be hard for me to find 2 or 3 people in my district who want to serve on it. Maybe I'm going to be, it's hard for me to find people to serve on anything from my district.
Why don't we come up and each one of us nominate 3 or 4 people?
I think 4 would be too many.
Say 3 people, or
I
2
think
people.
2 people a district. Right?
Nominate
That'd
2 people per district.
That'd be 12 people. And then whatever position
And
we
then
get
maybe,
from staff, council, or whoever. Because I'm telling you, if it gets us more than 15 people,
You're not gonna get
you're not gonna
anything
get anything
done.
done.
I think we should do a lottery system. If we really want to do this board and we want it to be unbiased, I think that we should do a lottery system. We have people apply and we do a lottery system. We pull from a hat, so to speak, and those would be the individuals that we consider for those
But
boards.
we just need to have them apply from different areas of the city.
That's
Because
okay.
we don't want to load it. you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
and that's okay.
I just think if it gets too big, nothing happens. That's,
So,
And you have to have a staff person in charge of it, or at least somebody that if Councilman Matthews wants something, she can call. Or if I want something, I can call, right? So
I would think if you're looking for staff support, it should be the community relations director.
I don't
It's-
think so.
this
I
is-
disagree.
Well, I guess
we don't have anybody else.
that's what that organization is supposed to be for. If you want it done some other way, just tell me how you want it done. But if you don't want us to lead it, then somebody's got to take control.
What's going to be the purpose for this board? From your perspective, what's the purpose behind this board?
work on race relations.
We've been trying to work on that since I've gotten here. And you see the dysfunction that we even have as a council. So that's why I agree with what Ms. Matthews said. We should support it, but we shouldn't be involved in it. We need to try to get some new people involved who don't have issues with each other. And keep our hands out of it. I think that would be the best thing for the city. But I want to know what the purpose is, because when we say, relations, what's going to be the details?
I think what they need to do is identify what our problems are with race relations and then come up with solutions on how we might fix them.
Well, I think we all remember when Dr. Nichols came here, and he basically stated that we had serious racial issues here.
And this is
Dr. who?
Dr. Nichols, from UNC.
No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that one.
Well, he came to our retreat,
I know.
so I think we need to have professionals probably like him, who doesn't really have any issues with this city. He's just here to try to affect some positive change. I think that we definitely need to have a lottery system. I think that would be fun for the community, and they won't feel as though Councilman Williams doesn't care for me, you know.
I'm
So
just concerned that the whole city, and maybe some people even in ETJ areas, get some representation on this board. If we have a lottery system, then you have no idea where it's going.
Well, you have to say on the lottery that you're gonna get 2 from here, 2 from here, 2 from wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, and as long as we get equal representation, I don't care.
There'd just be stipulations that you have to be applying, you have to be from this area.
And we need some nonprofits, we need some people that are really active.
So am I hearing that you would like to hire somebody to lead this for the city's effort? Because and then add these people to the board based on lottery? Is that what we're looking for, or?
Maybe we should discuss this a few more, come back a few more times, and I'll put something together, and maybe everybody else can put something together, and we'll have a more clear understanding.
And I think we also need to identify the problem better too, right? What it is we're trying to work on.
Yes.
Because if I can chime in, just from being a former city employee, I know every year we would have what they call diversity training, but now I think it needs to be looked at as racial equity training, racial equity, which is a new soundbite, but it's something that should have been looked at for a long time. Some of my former colleagues, employees would dread hearing history as it should be told. I mean, it felt like they were being punished to have to take that training. We need to change that mindset. So I guess the question I have is, how has it been working as far as the community relations board? What has been occurring, I guess you should say, in the past years, and how has it developed? And I guess we need to compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges. Like you said, give us a little bit more time. I've been sketching things out as far as solutions, because that's part of what I teach in my public safety class, is identifying the problem first step, and then working on ways to resolve it. So it's not something we just need to I feel, throw out there. I think everybody's ideas at least give us till next council meeting to have something to report, and that would kind of help us self-examine ourselves and kind of dig deeper into the situation of how we feel that we can contribute to the solution. I always like to have a solution when a problem is presented rather than a problem on top of a problem. So I agree, there does need to, at least at the minimum, be representation from each one of our districts, as well as, outside maybe, even on a countywide level, so we can work at this thing together, because
And I'd like to hear from our employees.
yeah.
But I think that you made an excellent point. You were here when the guy from Disney came. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And we had employees and we paid him maybe $10,000 to come here and to talk about diversity and how employees should carry themselves when interacting with other people. And I've seen a lot of people here that look really frustrated that they had to be here. That has to change too.
Right.
How do we get there? I don't know. That's going to be something for our city manager to tackle. But collectively, all our city employees should be smiling when they see someone in the streets. And I'm not trying to make anyone feel uncomfortable. This is probably not for you if you're not that type of individual, a city employee. But there's a lot of city employees that I've interacted with in uniform. And I have to speak first to them. Or I see people pass by and they may not be so friendly. Now, we have visitors coming into the city a lot, and that's not very good for our city when we have employees that have logos on their shirt and they're not being very friendly. I think, you know, a smile goes a long way. Goes a long way. So I would like to see that addressed as well.
Councilman Polak,
Yes, sir.
when y'all had this diversity training or race relations training, how long did it usually last?
I think it was like maybe 4 hours. Like we had a morning session, and then we had an afternoon session. We used to have it at the maintenance, city maintenance complex. When I was here, I don't know what they do it now.
We had it here one year.
Okay,
right in
yes,
this
sir.
room.
Maybe
Yeah.
we could look at the council taking that diversity training maybe during our retreat. Think about that as a retreat item.
Okay, sir.
And I think, like you said, the man that Councilman Williams was referring to, his biggest thing, like I said, was customer service. Like you said, I remember it vividly because he said literally they had to start at the bottom. I don't think they were mascots wearing Mickey Mouse costumes, but they literally worked from the bottom and worked their way up so they could understand the scale of what it takes to work and be recognized. Because some people have a condescending, like you said, attitude when they reach a certain level. The people at the bottom don't mean much. But he said in the Disney Corporation, they all start kind of like Highway 55 restaurant. Before you can own one, you have to work on the grill and work your way from the bottom. So it kind of, I think that would add to our position as council members to identify with things that we may not know about. So that's a good recommendation to have that incorporated with our training, I think, too.
Bernadette, are you online? I know we're doing a lot of online module training, which this type of training will be one, so.
Yes.
All right, now, is that something?
Can you hear me?
We can, Bernadette.
Okay. We had our last diversity training last fall. Gracie Lopez from the Piedmont area, Triad area came and did a 2 days of training. I think each training was 4 hours. So all the employees did attend that, and it was mandatory.
Thank you for the update.
What was the last thing she said?
Bernadette, could you repeat that again? You had 2 hours of diversity training?
No, we had 2 days of training.
Okay.
All employees were mandated to attend. Gracie Lopez from the Durham Chapel Hill area actually came in. She's a very well-known diversity trainer. She's done a lot of training at Duke and so many other places, and she was very good. She did. She spent 4 hours. She had 4 2-hour trainings.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's our direction?
I think that we should follow.
Who's that?
Somebody's hot mic out there.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
I
Councilman.
think we should probably follow up in, next council meeting or next council meeting or two.
Okay. And we want to have just a better idea of the problem, a better idea of the committee setup and all that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
I don't have any problem with it. It's good.
All right, we'll move on to new business Halloween discussion.
Yes, sir. So for the Halloween discussion, we put together a proclamation that has been done in previous years and added guidance from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services for Halloween to minimize the opportunity for COVID-19 transmission. I can read the proclamation if you'd like.
Do what?
Won't we hear it during the general session, the proclamation?
I don't know, where do you have it at, Tim?
Well,
You don't have it on
this
the-
was an ad, right?
Huh?
We just put this as an add to the discussion,
This was added to the agenda.
so you could approve it here.
Yeah, that's what I'm
At
saying,
this
but
time.
we don't have this on the agenda. Other than when
Right.
we just added it.
Correct.
Yeah, so I say we just do it now, and we can just approve it now.
I make a motion, we pass the proclamation for Halloween.
Second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise? All right, that was pretty easy, I guess.
I like it that way.
All right, and Tim, you said something about safety first. Did you fix that? Did you talk about that?
That is the proclamation you just
Because that was
approved.
in the proclamation.
Yep. So now I can move on to the new agenda item that you added under new business for the, to accept the North Carolina Tourism Promotion Recovery Grant.
Okay.
You all have that in your packages, but essentially we received $15,000 that our Travel and Tourism Division can spend on marketing. They plan to use digital campaign for that. So if you approve this resolution, Ashlyn and her team will be able to spend the money to bring people to Goldsboro safely during COVID-19.
Is there a motion to approve or?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise. All right, that passed.
We had a really good article on Wilbur's too, if anybody saw it.
Mr. D.
All right, is that it?
Yes, sir. So to your consent agenda items.
Yep. Item C. I guess that's going to be finance. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I have an item for the authorization of sale of jointly owned property for 1704C South Slocum Street to Derek Jones. Wayne County has requested concurrence by the City Council for this jointly owned property, which was obtained through tax foreclosure. The county conducted the sale under the upset bid process and approved it at the July 8th, 2020 meeting. The property offer was $800. The bid deposit was $40. The tax value was $3,570. And it is recommended that the council adopt by resolution to declare the property surplus and authorize city officials to execute the necessary instruments to transfer the property to Mr. Derek Jones.
Any questions for Catherine? Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Item D is Durbin Development.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Item D is Z420 Durbin Development LLC. The property is located on the southwest corner of North Berkeley Boulevard and Langston Drive. The applicant is requesting to rezone subject property from office and institutional conditional district to general business zoning district with the intention of operating an automobile service center. The subject property existed prior to the adoption of the UDO and operated as a professional office. The use of the property has not changed since that time. Surrounding zoning, to the north, you have shopping center, to the south, residential, to the east and west, you have general business conditional district. The subject property is currently occupied by a single-story brick veneer commercial building of approximately 1,300 square feet and formerly operated as an insurance office. The applicant proposes to rezone the subject property from office and institutional conditional district to general business, and if approved, demolish the existing building and develop the property for an automobile service center specializing in drive-through oil changes. Separate site plan approval will be necessary and required by this required in ordinance with the city's Unified Development Ordinance. The comprehensive land use plan updated designates the property for commercial use, and the property is not located in a special flood hazard area. City water and sewer are available to serve the property. At a public hearing held on September the 21st, the applicant's representative came forward to speak in favor of the request, and no one appeared to speak against the request. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on September the 28th did not agree with the applicant's request to rezone the subject property to conventional general business. The Commission recommended a more restrictive zoning for the change of zone request from office and institutional conditional district to general business conditional district in order to operate the automobile service center. And that is consistent with previous rezoning requests along Berkeley Boulevard corridor. The applicant has petitioned in writing to the City of Goldsboro his intent for the rezoning of the property to general business conditional district as recommended by the Planning Commission. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and find the request consistent with the city's adopted comprehensive land use plan and adopt an ordinance changing the zoning of the property from office and institutional conditional district to general business conditional district in order to operate the automobile service repair center.
Any questions for Jennifer? If not, we'll move to item E.
Item E is Site 1820, Site and Landscape Plans, and again, the applicant is Durbin Development. The subject property, as indicated previously with the rezoning request Z420, is located on the southwest corner of North Berkeley Boulevard and Langston Drive. The submitted site plan indicates a new single-story building of approximately 1,400 square feet. The applicant proposes to use the facility as an automobile service center specializing in drive-through oil changes. A floor plan has been provided which consists of an office, restrooms for customers and employees, storage areas, and 3 automobile service bays. Hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., with 3 employees. Since the site is located on a corner lot, the required front yard setback for the principal structure is 20 feet along North Berkeley Boulevard and Langston Drive. Due to the narrowness of the existing lot, the applicant states the proposed facility requires an adequate building area of no less than 1,400 square feet. As such, the applicant is requesting a modification of the front yard setback along Langston Drive from 20 feet to 18 feet. One 24-foot wide driveway cut is proposed off Langston Drive, which will provide access to the employee and customer parking spaces as well as the 3 service bay areas. Parking for the automobile inspection, repair, and service facility requires 1 space per working bay plus 1 per employee. A total of 6 paved parking spaces have been shown, and stacking to accommodate 9 automobiles for the drive-through service. Exterior sidewalks are required for the new development and are indicated on North Berkeley Boulevard and Langston Drive. Street trees are shown along Berkeley Boulevard and Langston Drive, and the required buffers are also indicated on the landscape plan and meet the city's ordinance. Exterior building materials will consist of EIFS, stucco, standing seam metal roofs, metal doors, copings, and trim. Grading and drainage plans have not been submitted. However, the applicant will be required to submit those plans and be in accordance with the city engineering standards before any permits are released. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on September the 28th recommended approval of the site and landscape plan with the requested modification. It is recommended by motion, accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the site and landscape plan with the modification of the front yard setback.
Any questions for Jennifer? All right, that's item E. Thank you. Now we got item F.
Item F is Z520 Wooten Development Company, and the property is located on the southeast corner of North Berkeley Boulevard and Maplewood Drive. The applicant requests to rezone a portion of subject property from office and institutional to neighborhood business zoning district. The rezoning, the requested rezoning will be associated with the recombination of 2 individual lots. You have Lot 1, which is the existing shopping center, and then Lot 2, there's a portion of it that is being requested to be rezoned and then will be recombined. Surrounding zoning, to the north, you have general business, office, and institutional. To the south and east, you have residential R9, and to the west, you have office and institutional. The subject property is currently clear and vacant. The applicant proposes to rezone the subject property from office and institutional to neighborhood business, and if approved, intends to recombine the lots 1 and 2 so that a portion of Lot 2 can be used for the operation of an above-ground LP tank filling station as permitted in the neighborhood business zoning district. Separate site plan approval will be required in accordance with the city's UDO. The city's updated land use plan designates the property as mixed use 1, and that would allow a mixture of the following zoning districts. That's office and residential, office and institutional, and neighborhood business. City water and sewer are available to serve the property, and the property is not located within a special flood hazard area. At the public hearing held on September the 21st, the applicant came forward to speak in favor of the request, and no one appeared to speak against. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on September the 28th recommended approval for the change of zone request from office and institutional to neighborhood business. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and find the request consistent with the city's adoptive land use plan and adopt the ordinance for changing the zoning of the property from O&I 1 to NB, which is neighborhood business.
Any questions for Jennifer? Seeing none, we'll move to item G.
And my final item is the site plan that is associated with the previously presented zoning request Z520. Again, the applicant is Wooten Development Company, and this is for the above-ground LP tank filling station at the southeast corner of North Berkeley Boulevard and Maplewood Drive. The submitted site plan and landscape plans indicate the proposed above-ground LP tank and refill panel to be located along the new western property line, meeting the required 15-foot side yard setback. The proposed tank is for customers of an existing propane business located within an adjacent commercial shopping center in 1804 North Berkeley Boulevard. The equipment will be surrounded by a 6-foot height and chain link fence, properly screened, and also have landscaped with hollies to help with the screening. Staff is working with the applicant to ensure that a new Type A 5-foot wide landscape buffer is provided along the new northern, western, and southern property lines in accordance with our UDO. Due to the nature and scope of the project, the applicant's proposal is exempt from the city's stormwater and drainage requirements. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on September the 28th recommended approval of the site and landscape plan. It is recommended by motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the site and landscape plans.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer, I got a question before you leave.
Yes,
It's
sir.
pertaining to something else. I was driving Hooks River Road and Carolina Street,
Okay.
and I saw some site work being done. Can you refresh my memory on what that was? What it's going to be?
There is a proposed subdivision, several lots that front that northern end of Carolina Street. So you're probably seeing some utility work if they've not done some sewer, because they had to connect to sewer.
Or they could be tearing down houses in a demo.
I seen plumbing and I see new electrical, so it looks
It's
like.
the
it can be
utility
houses.
work, yes, sir.
How many units?
There was roughly 12 or 14 lots.
Okay, thank you.
The Habitat lot or something else?
I can't remember. I don't think it's not Habitat doing the work, no, sir.
Okay.
Can you send me an email?
I can send you the plat that's associated. We just signed off on the plat for it to be recorded.
Thank you so much.
I don't have details as far as the type home, the prototype of the home that's being built, but I do have the lots, and there will be several of the lots that are shared driveways due to DOT. That end of Carolina Street is DOT maintained, so they did limit some, restricted the driveways on the lot, so they'll have some shared driveways, some individual driveways, and then closer to Hooks River Road and Carolina Street, again, some shared driveways.
We know who's doing the construction?
I
do not.
know where you're talking about where they're building the apartments or townhouses or whatever they are.
There's the few lots that's right at Hooks River Road and North Carolina Street is a duplex type apartment, but then there are individual single-family lots as you continue south on Carolina Street.
I got you.
But I'm unaware, I don't think any permits have been pulled yet with regards to construction, so I don't know who the contractor is.
Okay.
But I can send you any information we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll go to item H. I guess our clerk.
Item H is your revised advisory boards and commissions meeting schedule. The Recreation Advisory Commission Chair has requested to revise their meeting time from the second Tuesday of each month at noon to the third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. due to a lack of a quorum. The agenda item from the last meeting just reflected Tuesday at 6 p.m. and it should be the third Tuesday at 6 p.m.
All
Staff's
right.
recommendation is that council adopt the attached revised meeting schedule indicating that change.
Any questions on that? All right. If not, complete the consent agenda. And did I understand that we have a closed
Sir,
Session
closed
item.
session for personnel and litigation.
personnel litigation? Can somebody make that motion?
Make a motion, we go in closed session for personnel and litigation.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. We're in closed session.